right, let's talk about function overloading in C++. It allows multiple functions to have the same name but different parameter lists. Coming from C and working with C++ for the first time, overloading was one of the things that I thought was incredible. I got a lot of use out of this capability that the C++ language provides. And simply what it is you can have the same function name, but have different arguments. In other words, the function signatures are all different, but they all have the same name. Back in our C programming days, you would have to do something like this. You'd have to have separate functions for each operation that you wanted to do. For example, if I wanted to convert into a string, I would have an int to string function. If I wanted to convert a float to a string, I'd have a float to string function, and also double to string, and the list can go on and on and on and get more complicated for the various types you want to have as arguments. I can replace multiple function names with one function name, but create different signatures for each one. Okay, let's grab a cup of coffee and look at some code examples. Okay, and we're back. So my first example, this is a C program. I'm using the C compiler, GCC, and I have three functions that I want to show you: int to string, float to string, and a double to string. And really the only difference between them is that the types in the signature as well as the names are different. So it does build, and when we run it, and you can see the final results are what we expect. So now, if I wanted to use the same function name for these, let's say I wanted to use toString, and I'm purposely going to leave the underscore out because there is a C++ function that does of the same name, I would expect this to not build. And of course it doesn't. And the reason is these all have the same name, and that is not allowed in C. So I'm going to be right back. I'm going to switch over to C++ compiler and run through that example. All right, so now we're using the C++ compiler. It builds no problem. It has the same name, but it's looking at the signature this time for each one of these. And it will run, of course. It does build, and it runs. And there's our expected results. So what the string class comes with, if you're using C++, and I'm going to go through this real quick. I'm going to show you how you can get around these char stars. The library is called string. Do not confuse it with string.h. And we won't be needing any of these because we're going to use the toString function that is in the string library. We're going to replace this with standard string. And as you can see, since it's overloaded, we will be able to use the same function for multiple types. Now, if you want to use printf with a standard string object, you have to get a pointer to its array, and that is what the C string is useful for this. Since toString is in the standard namespace, we have to add that scope resolution operator. You can also use data. Oh, we have to assign to buffer. C++ knows that when it sees the equal sign, that it's going to copy the string into the string that you are assigning it to. And there it builds, and if we run it, and we get the same results. So just to recap on this, what I did is I used one of the template libraries. It's kind of a specialized template library. It's called string. Don't confuse it with string.h. String.h is for C programs. You can still use string.h, but string without any extension means it's one of the standard template library, one of the C++ standard library functions. We instantiate buffer here of the class string, and then we're assigning it turn value from toString, and it's going to copy into that. The equal sign is the cue for the compiler to say, oh, this is a copy constructor, and it's going to copy the results from this into it. And the neat thing about this is this is created on the heap, even though we're instantiating it on the stack. And once we leave the function, it will reclaim that memory. The buffer itself that's used internally is put on the heap. So you can see standard string is a specialization of a template of basic string that accepts multiple types. The default is character like this, and it goes to string. So if you want to see some overloading that is done by the library, if we go to toString, you can see here, this is the instance for where it's an integer, and then there's another one where it's for unsigned. And there are many different types that can be passed to toString. Long, I think I saw double up here also. So that's it for this example. I just wanted to show you how you can take any functions that are important for what you're doing, and maybe you're creating your own library, and now you can make one method name and just overload it. As your project progresses, adding to your development, maybe another type comes in, you just add another function for that with the same name and just change the signature. And you have something that makes it easier for code reuse and for others to use down the road. So with that, I'm going to cue up the music, and I will see you on the next one.